Resuming debate, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Aujourd'hui,
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to say that today I'll be sharing my time with the Honourable Member for York Southwest. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to start by saying just how much of an honour it is for me to talk about this budget brought down on the 22nd of March. And I want to say with pride that we have met the expectations of not just people in my riding of Vaudreuil-Soulanges, but many Canadians across our country. When I was elected the member for Vaudreuil-Soulanges, I made a promise to help our seniors because they helped to build our country. I made a commitment to help build our nation, to help our families, all of our families who work so hard. And as Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister for Youth, and as a father myself, I am very committed to our young people because they represent our future, our legacy, and they represent the hopes that we have in this country. Mr. Speaker, in Vaudreuil-Soulanges, far too many seniors need assistance. Even if they worked hard throughout their life, successfully building our country by building our communities, our cities, brick by brick, business by business, many of them are unable to live in dignity and to be proud of their current standard of living. Because of their contribution to the prosperity of Canada, we acknowledged in the budget that we had to guarantee our seniors would no longer be going to bed wondering if their retirement plan was viable.
that we are responding to the needs of our seniors in numerous ways. First, as promised during the election campaign, we're increasing the guaranteed income supplement of our most vulnerable seniors by 10%, ensuring that those who worry for their future may no longer have to do so. But we didn't stop there, Mr. Speaker. We realized that increasing income every 2, 4, or even 6 years may not always be adequate, as staples for seniors such as medications, certain foods, and other expenses, including transportation, are subject to rising costs and fluctuations in the global market. This poses an unnecessary risk to the security, Mr. Speaker, of our seniors. Our government is committed to ensuring that old age security and guaranteed income supplement benefits keep pace with the actual cost of living faced by seniors. The government is therefore looking at how a new seniors' price index that reflects the cost of living faced by seniors could be developed. If deemed viable, this idea could ensure that when seniors receive their monthly support, they will no longer have to ask if it will be enough. We have also kept our promise, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that income splitting for seniors is kept in place. We recognize this as a valuable financial tool for countless seniors across our country. Further, this budget significantly increases investment for social and affordable housing as part of the new infrastructure investment strategy. After Canada's seniors built this country, I believe this budget recognizes that they are owed a life of dignity and a life that they deserve. All of these investments will benefit the seniors all across Canada, as well as in my riding, Mr. Speaker, and so I am proud to support them in this budget. Monsieur le Président, à Vaudreuil.
Mr. Speaker, in Vaudreuil-Soulanges, from Île-Perrot to Rigaud, from Vaudreuil to Saint-Lazare and Hudson, I see small business owners, teachers in many schools, firefighters, aerospace workers, public servants, and more specifically, parents who are working harder than ever in order to build a good life for themselves and their children. Mr. Speaker, those people represent Canada's middle class. But many of them are afraid of never being in a position to make ends meet. So I'm proud to say that we have taken the first steps to change that. 35 days after taking power, after we took power, in fact, 9 million Canadians saw tax cuts. In addition to that is the new Progressive Canada tax benefit that will put money in the pockets of 9 out of 10 Canadian families. According to the Parliamentary Budget Officer, 300,000 young people will be lifted out of poverty. Mr. Speaker, 1 out of every 5 children in Canada lives in poverty. That is unacceptable, and I'm proud to see that we are taking action. In my riding alone, every morning, hundreds of young people go to school on an empty stomach. Thanks to the extraordinary work of community-based organizations, some of those needs are being met, but they cannot do everything on their own. They need to see an ally in their government, and with this budget, they have found that ally. By helping the middle class and people who are working hard to be part of it, we are giving Canadians the financial security they need to raise their families, grow our economy, and build their lives. Today, despite the fact that the parents in this country are working harder than ever, government assistance needs to take into account young people, and it's difficult for them to find a job. I am proud to say today that proudly our government will be taking steps to help young people. Mr. Speaker, we are increasing the student loan program for students, low-income students. We are enabling them to build a future. These investments will enable thousands of students to get to university colleges and universities. In addition, they won't have to start paying down their student loans until they're earning at least $25,000 a year. In order to give our young people the professional experience they need to break into the job market, we're investing more than $300 million in the Canada Summer Jobs program. That, Mr. Speaker, will create 35,000 more summer jobs for young people every year over the next 3 years, for the next 3 years. Now, while these investments are a clear commitment to our young people, they're also a clear commitment for all Canadians. Not only will young people have a better opportunity to succeed, but their success will strengthen the new middle class. This will help our seniors, and it will continue to helping create a stronger Canada for all of us.
Also considers the Canada we're going to leave behind, with new and historic investments in infrastructure and in Canada's environment. This budget shows the commitment that this government has to the literal foundations of this country and to our long-term prosperity. Our infrastructure investment strategy will serve to work with provinces and local communities to build and develop new projects where they're needed most. In my riding, one of the main concerns raised with me, Mr. Speaker, is that our current public transportation infrastructure is insufficient to keep up with the fast-growing pace of our community. This echoes the concerns of far too many Canadians and communities like ours across the country. Through consultation and input from people that are affected by our decisions here in Ottawa, federal funding will be less of a roadblock to action in increasing our collective potential for growth, development, and long-term success. Through unprecedented investment in infrastructure, including public transportation, much-needed and overdue projects that will improve on the lives of Canadians will finally be realized. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to speak to what this budget does to ensure a cleaner, healthier environment and to protect the rightful legacy of future generations. To begin, Mr. Speaker, as part of our plan to modernize the way we go to work and move around our communities while also reducing emissions, we have announced $3.4 billion over the next 3 years in public transit to ensure that we're building the communities of tomorrow that are smarter, more efficient, and more sustainable. We're investing $5 billion over the next 5 years in green infrastructure, including investments in water infrastructure and electric vehicle charging stations. Further, Mr. Speaker, my constituents have worried for years about the potential hazards posed by oil being transported through our neighbourhoods and backyards without a well-funded, thorough, and transparent environmental impact assessment process in place. Modernizing the National Energy Board and following through on our pledge to strengthen and reform the environmental assessment process with an investment of $30 million is something that is strongly supported by my constituents, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, Budget 2016 is also about investing in new technologies that will take key steps towards our country playing a leading role in efficient and clean innovation. With our investment of $400 million over 2 years, we will create strong Canadian green tech companies and create good paying jobs for Canadians. Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, I took this opportunity to speak in the House to respond to the budget on behalf of the people I represent in Vaudreuil-Soulanges, for our seniors, our young people, our middle class, and for those people who are working hard to be part of it. This budget clearly expresses the government's commitment conviction, strong belief, in fact, that Canada's greatest wealth is without a doubt its people. By investing in them, in our communities, and in our future, our country can do nothing but prosper more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.